Good morning. I would like to call the Highway and Waterways Committee meeting to order from Thursday, August 17th, 2023. Can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Carrico?
Present.
Mr. Deno?
Present.
Mr. Featherling?
Present.
Mr. Snipes?
Present.
Mr. Miller? Mr. Smith?
Present.
Ms. Armour Earps?
Present.
Mr. Ashcraft? Mr. Minnick-Emmy?
Present.
Ms. Turner?
Present.
Mr. Wheeler? Mr. Alexander Hildebrand? We have a quorum.
Thank you. We need to have a motion and to allow Scatlin to join the meeting virtually. Okay. Motion made by Ms. Turner. Second, Ms. Dano. Everybody in favor signify by say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Some sign. All right. Welcome. I do not have any public comments. My desk here, no public comments. Is there any public comments? Here none. So next will be the approval of the minutes from July the 20th, 2023. Motion by Mr. Donnell, second by Mr. Smith. Everybody in favor signify by say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Same sign. Good. Motion carries. Next will be the Waterways. You have received the information on your packet about the progress of the Waterways project here, but I'm going to give that floor to Chairman Wheeler. I believe that he has new or more additional information to share with us.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I do have some updated information that what was in the packet and some more clarifications that I'll share with you. Starting with Aroma, Burke is going to engage, or they are engaging a subcontractor that does this, that has many permits. They're finding that it'd be better and easier to get the permitting process done on the mussel survey, which they still expect to be deeply involved in doing in mid-September latest. It's called Eco Analyst is the name of the company, that's sub, and it should not, they're estimating no impact to the budget that we have put forward to everybody so far and agreed upon. So instead of them doing it, they're going with somebody else that will be able to do it in a much more efficient manner, if you will, and that has already a way to get an expedited permitting process going. Once, let's see here. Yeah, more recent collection permits on file. That's in your packet, and it'll accelerate the timeline. The Burke has met with a lot of the coordinating agencies. They've met in July, late July. They met with, when it says two gentlemen from Illinois, I'm assuming that's IDNR and the U.S. Army Corps. The dredge permitting requirements and what type of permit it would take. Burke is. Their plan is to submit everything once that mussel survey is done. There's all one big package that's going to be turned in. It's probably going to be the RGP 46 permit as well. That's what I'm being told. Please don't ask me to give you a long explanation of that. We'll save that for another day. Or we might know a guy who could explain that a little bit better. The Rock Island District indicated we should be able to do the review with them if we request it, and from what I understand from Burke, that has already been done. I'll talk a little bit in a minute about the shift in the Army Corps offices. So that's really what's going on out at Aroma. We're close, and it's not going to take that long because remember, they're only surveying those smaller areas that we're going to be dredging out, where we expect, and we've engineered it, not we, Burke has engineered it, to have the water be the actual mechanism that pushes sediment and sand through these, I want to call them basically conveyor belts, if you will, of water jets. That we can use boats and everything to pass, but it almost self-cleans itself in a way that we would have to get out there in the years to come and do some restoration, 3-5 years, hopefully. We'd have to get in there with our equipment. So that's the overall thought there. Prairie Engineers is the company that's doing the bathymetric work through the planning department and GIS. Bathymetrics, if you remember, is almost like LiDAR for the bottom of the river. It senses all of the structures, the bed of the river, the sediment on top of it, so you can estimate how many cubic yards of sediment need to come out, what the actual geology and morphology of the river are in those areas. So we're really curious. We've got they did the single beam data, and that's 100% collected up and down the river, and then they have a multi-beam data that's about 70%. From what I'm finding out, people thought that they were the mussel survey people and were running out and talking to them about how excited they were that they're going to be doing the dredging project. And so we were getting reports that the mussel survey was going on when it was actually the bathymetrics that was going on. So things are going on, and it seems like the public is excited out in that area. So manual depth checks. No, that's enough update on that one. Is there any questions about that stuff in and of itself for Roma Park?
Any questions?
We're still on timeline for the work to be done in April of next year. Nothing has changed there. So it's basically get it all ready. As soon as the ice breaks or whatever, we're allowed to get in the river is when we would go doing that work. All the bidding would be handled through Burke. Again, we found local sources for some of the sand, if not all of it. Depending on how much we end up getting out and how much is necessarily needed by others. So if that's okay, I'll start talking about Indiana because that's kind of where we're spending a lot of time right now in actual work on this. And with the Kankakee and Yellow River Basin Development Commission, they are doing bank reconstructions for 3, 4, 5 mile stretches at a time. I was just talking with Jeremiah, they're taking sand dunes, if you will, that are at about 80-degree slopes and peeling them back to 20, 30-degree slopes, so all that sediment is not just calving into the river. So much so that these major stretches along the Yellow and even where it comes into the Kankakee, you can actually see the bottom of the river for the first time in, at least 50 years. It's really impressive to see what's happening, and the river is trying to rechannelize itself. Going back and forth. So I've mentioned that before, but it's also really interesting to see that no matter what we try to do, the river still tries to be a river. So that should be a warning for everybody here, or at least in the community, that you still can't build a house next to the river and expect it not to flood, because it is going to flood at some point. That's what rivers do. We just trying to make it so it doesn't flood every 2-3 years. That becomes a problem. Or if it does flood, it's flooding in the places that we need it to flood and where all that retention needs to go. So I gave you the update on what's going on over in those, 6 or 8 counties in Indiana. The important thing is, and this happened here, we got a really good fishermen's group on Facebook that very interested in, sharing information, care about the river, love it, but they had heard about some eradicating invasive species up in, I believe it was Jasper County, where what do they call it, an herbicide was applied, because the invasive species is a bush honeysuckle. It's all over our area too. And what it does is it gets on the bank and it doesn't let anything else grow there, and it destabilizes the bank, and all that sediment just pours in, even the trees fall over. It's a completely destructive invasive species that we have to get out of there and then replant those native species that have the long rooting systems that hold everything in place. So we're not doing that now, but it's a good example of why we need to communicate and talk to the people who have the stakeholders in the river, because the herbicide that was used, if it's in a pond, you can't use it in a pond because it's not good for, rainbow trout. That's it. That's the only fish that it had an adverse effect to, was rainbow trout, and we don't have those in the river. So it's fully vetted, permitted by IDNR and everything. But I just wanted to let this committee know that we're going to be having to do some of those things here to stabilize banks. We just have to make sure that we're working with the public and they understand what's going on specifically, because we're not going to endanger fish, wildlife, and habitat. That's just not what we're here for. So some log jams, I thought it was important to mention that, they're always working on log jams over there. One man's habitat is another man's destruction. Depends on if you got a fishing pole and or a boat. So Let's see. Any questions about what's going on in Indiana? State line bridge is still waiting on the federal government, in case everybody wants to know. Feds have to basically let us off the hook on repairing a bridge that can't even be driven on by modern cars. So.
Questions, anybody? No? Okay.
Okay. Next item is that public notice where the U.S. Army Corps, our new office, is going to be the Chicago district. That is good because much of the river in Indiana is under Chicago. Even their flood planning that they're working on right now is out of the Chicago office. And as I mentioned before, we should be able to continue to work on the projects on the table with Rockford, Quad Cities, excuse me, to complete those projects. But everything new would probably shift over into Chicago from that point forward. So
that can actually help to expedite some of this stuff, right?
Well, it could help to expedite it, but it also it helps with. It's still the same river on each side of the state line, and it doesn't make sense to talk to two separate offices when you're talking about a plan or you're re-educating people on the same principles over and over again. So, or specifics within a region of why you're doing what you're doing. So, I see it as nothing but good. I still think Detroit is over that northernmost part, you know, up by Notre Dame, up in that area where the river starts. Up there, I think that is still Detroit, which is a problem. We wish we can get the whole river under one office. Yeah. So, if there's no questions about that, it's not a problem until it is a problem, I guess, and it doesn't look like it will be. There's also a map on there that shows the region here in Illinois, but you see the red outline in Indiana of those counties over there as well. So, let's see here. Make sure I've got everything there. Last item was, well, Ben is working on the grant. We already have a lot of the documentation as far as the $1 million goes. The grant numbers, all that's ready to go once we could pay bills, if you will, from the state once that starts flowing in. This was the last thing I was going to throw to the committee, and we can get more specific after this, but as I mentioned, there's a lot of stakeholders in this community. There's people that are fishermen, boaters, just, you know, love to walk along the river, you know, whatever, hikers, the whole thing, kayaks, canoes, or you just, you know, whatever, you enjoy, you miss the boat races and you wish they would come back, you know, that kind of stuff. So as we go through this process, I think it's a really good idea to do like we have done with AWAC, where we have the shelters and vets on an advisory council. I think it'd be a really good idea if we consider the makeup of and the instituting of a subcommittee that feeds into this committee, that we vet a lot of the things that we're talking about doing and ordering the projects into the areas of importance. I think those people that use the river need to get in a room together, i.e., the fisherman who thinks that log jam is habitat and the boater who thinks it's an obstruction. I would love them to have conversations together to come to solutions and then bring those things to us. And we may agree, we may not agree. Recommendation could be dredge the whole river end to end, and we would say no, because we don't have $200 million, and that's probably the last thing you want to do. It would make it worse, to be honest. But again, we would also take recommendations on, we think that this is a priority, that's a priority, this log jam is really doing this. They probably would have said Aroma Park was a huge problem if we would have asked this question, 2 years ago. So it's really up to the committee. But I can start talking to those people to find out, is it who should be at the table? Mm-hmm. And we got a good idea by the people that are stepping up and active right now, but I wouldn't do this if you didn't think it was helpful.
Does anybody have any comments or any opinion when it comes to a possible formation of a subcommittee for this committee here? So do you think that is a good idea? I got some positive head nod there.
Mr. Chairman,
yes, Mr. Fairlawn.
It worked real well when I was in community services when they had animal. Tinker ran a subcommittee, and then she would just report to that committee every month what they talked about and what they did.
Okay.
It worked pretty good there. I would have to say that I think it would have to be important, because then you don't have one guy getting mad and the other guy not. You got them all in the same room, so then you can get mad while they're all sitting there.
Anybody that disagree with that? Maybe think that not gonna be a good idea, or everybody okay? Seems like everybody agreeing.
Okay. I'll start coming up with a list, not of people, but of organizations. Like maybe it's the Northern Illinois Anglers. They send somebody here, and if there's other fishermen, they talk to them. Again, it's stuff like that. We can't have the room full of 50 people that are voting members, but we could have 50 people in the room where 7 of them are voting members. I hope that makes sense. We want all input, but you can't have it be unruly. We would probably want to form it in a way that allows them to hear a proposal that we're putting in front of it, listen to the subject matter experts. They are, again, subject matter experts. Maybe a policy on building next to the river, those types of things. It has to be so many feet off, whatever. We want their input, but it's important that we can't have too many in there.
Right.
All right, I'll come back next month with some ideas there, and I'll pre-talk to some of the groups and see if they're interested.
Okay.
I'm sure they will be. They're kind of pulling at the chain, so to speak, to get ready and asking me, why is this taking so long? I said, what, 100 years?
Well, I kind of think that it would be very beneficial to have local organizations and river users getting involved a little bit and give us some, insights of ideas.
Yeah, maybe a boat club rotates.
Right.
Every year a different boat club comes on and they send somebody to the meetings. I don't know. It's we don't want to be exclusive, but do we want every boat club? You see, but they can come to every meeting. That's kind of where I'm getting at here. It's just it's a structure is what we need to work on.
Right. Sounds good. Any questions? Any questions or comments for the Waterways? All right. Moving on. Next on the agenda will be the highways. But before we get started, and I pass this to you, can I have a motion to combine the county engineer pay estimates? Motion, Ms. Donald. Second, Mr. Fedlin. Everybody in favor, signify by say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Same sign. Okay. Go ahead, sir.
All right, we've got quite a few this month. First one, Kankakee County, section 23-00000. GM, pay estimate 3 to Cargill. That's road salt. We filled up our dome, so we're ready to go come wintertime, at least material-wise. In the amount of $42,175.73. Next is Kankakee County, section 23-00000-00-GM supplement 3 to Grasso Construction, pay estimate number 4 for seal coating county roads in the amount of $127,629.13 from the county MFT fund. Next, Kankakee County, section 23-00000-00-GM, pay estimate 4 to Kankakee Valley Construction Company for hot mix asphalt for patching our roads in the amount of $2,502.75 from the county motor fuel tax fund. Next, Kankakee County, section 23-00000-00-GM, pay estimate 4 to Metal Culverts for yard stock and an individual culvert replacing a deteriorated, or when it's pretty much useless. So we replaced it, and the amount for that is $17,001.60 from our county motor fuel tax fund. Next is Kankakee County, section 23-00000-00-GM, pay estimate 1 to Midwest Fence Corporation. This is for guardrail end sections, metal guardrail end sections for our yard stock. We were out, and now we're up to, we got some in stock now, in the amount of $6,000.00 from our county motor fuel tax fund. Next is Kankakee County Section 23-00000-00-GM Supplement 1, Pay Estimate 1 to Potter's Industries. And this is for glass beads that we put on top of our pavement marking lines so you can see them at night. In the amount of $21,912.00 to be paid for out of our county MFT fund. Next, Kankakee County Section 23-00000-00-GM, Pay Estimate 9 to BCNA Prairie LLC for, we've been doing stone shoulders, and this is evidence of it right here. On county highways. The amount of $7,056.12 to be paid for out of our county MFT fund. Next, Kankakee County Section 23-00000-00-GM, Pay Estimate 8 to Vulcan Construction Materials LLC. This is for stone chips that we use with our spray patcher, and the amount of $2,699.59 from our county MFT fund. Next, Janier Township, Section 23-04000-00-GM, Pay Estimate 1 to Grosso Construction for seal coating township roads in the amount of $129,616.72, and that is split between the Township RBI Fund, Township MFT Fund, and using Township local funds. Next, Manteno Township, Section 23-07000-00-GM, Pay Estimate 1 to Grosso Construction for seal coating township roads in Manteno Township in the amount of $200,436.22. Again, split between the Township RBI Fund, Township MFT Fund, and using Township local funds. Next up, St. Anne Township, Section 23-15000-00-GM, Pay Estimate 1 to Grosso Construction for seal coating township roads in the amount of $84,729.77, which is split between the Township RBI Fund and the Township MFT Fund. Next up, Yellowhead Township, Section 23-17000-00-GM, Pay Estimate 1 to Grosso Construction for seal coating township roads in the amount of $205,427.07 to be split between the Township RBI Fund, Township MFT Fund, and local funds. Next, Otto Township, Section 23-10000-00-GM, Supplement 2. This is Pay Estimate 1 and final to Kankakee Valley Construction Company for resurfacing a township road, actually a joint project between Salmons Point and Otto Township. And the Otto Township portion of this bill is $38,830.30. The remainder of the $152,000 would come from Salmons Point per agreement. Next, Salina Township, Section 23-14000-00-GM, Pay Estimate 1. This is for equipment rental for Salina Township for using their rental of their equipment in the amount of $40,000.00 to be paid for out of the Township Motor Fuel Tax Fund. Next, Moments Township, Section 23-08000-00-GM, Pay Estimate 1 to Vulcan Construction Materials for stone for their stockpile, and it looks like to be used for spray patching on township roads in the amount of $18,968.97 to be paid for out of the Township Motor Fuel Tax Fund. Next up, Otto Township, section 23-10000-00-GM Supplement 1. Pay estimate 2 to Vulcan Construction Materials for, looks like spray patching on township roads in the amount of $460.79 to be paid for out of the Township Motor Fuel Tax Fund. Next, Salina Township, section 23-14000-00-GM Supplement 1, pay estimate 1 to WAZ Enterprises Incorporated. And this is for spreading calcium chloride on township roads. It controls dust in the summertime in the amount of $2,661.78 to be paid for out of the Township Motor Fuel Tax Fund. Next, this is an oldie. Kankakee County, section 13-00206-02-RS. This is pay estimate 2 and final. Usually these sit for a long time until IDOT sends us a final bill for a project. We pay estimated up to a certain point. Once the final quantities have been determined, then they are able to determine our final share of the project, and that's what this bill is for. From way back in the amount of $47,910.70, and it comes from our county matching tax fund. Last one, Kankakee County, section 23-00000-00-GM, non-MFT funds. Pay estimate 2 to Kankakee Valley Construction Company in the amount of $47,767.20 from their county matching tax, and this is for paving work within the county on our county roads.
All right. Mr. Snipe, you had a question?
Just a point of clarification. We didn't approve the payment estimate, did we?
No, not yet. We just combined.
Just the combine and approve?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, we're gonna do it next after we go through comments. Anybody? Any questions, comments on this? No questions, no comments? Okay, now we need a motion and a second to approve the county engineer pay estimates. Can I have a motion, please? And Mr. Snipes, second by Mr. Donnell. Roll call, please.
Mr. Carrico?
Aye.
Mr. Dennell? Mr. Featherling? Mr. Snipes?
Aye.
Mr. Smith? Ms. Armour Herbs? Ms. Rittman-Akemi?
Aye.
Ms. Turner? Mr. Wheeler? Motion carries.
Thank you. Is there any old business? Chairman Wheeler?
I'm not sure if there's an update, but do you have any new information regarding ComEd in Limestone Township or NICOR coming through? Anything you could share with the committee regarding the pipeline and the permitting and all of that stuff?
We've issued the permit to NICOR out on County Highway 54 and 42. They're out there installing it right now, so they didn't waste any time. Once they got our permit, they're going ahead. They've been dealing with all the townships, and supposedly they've reached approval with the townships, so there should be no roadblocks within our county.
So we don't have any issues with, when the snow flying, as far as those communities that currently get natural gas, that's all gonna be okay. That was my concern, that they wouldn't have these agreements done and it'd be a supply issue.
Well, they're installing it now, and
Okay?
yeah.
Take them at their word.
ComEd, we've received a response from ComEd that we're not thrilled about in response to our comments about the things that need fixing out there. So we're preparing our rebuttal to their comments. We were waiting for our response from the drainage districts, and then we should have pretty much be finalized. We can send a unified response, which is how we've been doing it all along here.
And this is all fiber, correct?
Yes.
Okay, just so the committee knows, there's a ComEd fiber project that's going through rural Limestone Township that we're not necessarily thrilled about the way that they're installing these well, especially the boxes and where they're going underground and above ground and things like that. So Greg's been in communication with him. Mr. Long, county board member, obviously that's his area. He's quite concerned. So we've been bird dogging this. So if you need us again, let us know.
Will do.
It was basically the plastic junction boxes were put on the downward slope in some places. That was just one of the problems. But you know how it is on a rural road. If there's a combine and a school bus, they each take part of that shoulder, and you can't drive over a plastic box. They're going to last like a day, especially in the winter with plows. So I think that part needs to be addressed.
And our comment was to put them at the far end of the right of way off the back slope, and
Right.
they commented on that, and we're going to keep commenting on it. That we want it where we want it. It's our roads out there. It's the township roads.
Exactly.
And not to mention tile issues with going through tiles, and they say they didn't hit any, so we're going to have to go out and verify them, because
Right.
we've got evidence that they did.
Just so those residents were on it, it's we're going to hold them to what they need to be doing.
Right.
Any comments? Any other old business? Is any new business? Other business?
$70.
Mr. Featherland,
I can make a motion to adjourn.
motion to adjourn. Second by Mr. Donnell. Everybody in favor signify by say aye. Anybody opposed? Same sign. All right.